Tunes going. Eddie's got the tunes going. I hope you're having a good Sunday, starting off the week right with some good real estate news that'll be coming in. We're going to be talking about how home buyers, man, they're getting squeezed. They're getting squeezed from every direction. And I just wanted to introduce our special guest this week. You guys remember him. He's the only dude in Montana that I know that is blowing it up in real estate. That's Will Freidner. He's coming on in. Hello, my friend Will Freidner. How are you?
Hey, Kristina, I'm don't know what to do with music now. I didn't know if I should be dancing or what.
Well, I'm always like, even when there's no music playing, I'm constantly dancing. There's always tunes running through my head. So, I don't know, like this week has been the craziest week when it comes to real estate. Interest rates were like peaking around like 5% there for a hot second, like just flirting around. People are going crazy. My phone is blowing up because people are in a panic mode of buying once again. I don't know how it is in your area, but in my area, buyers are getting hit, man. Like bad. They're getting squeezed.
Yeah.
How is it for you guys over there in
Oh, just
Montana?
beyond ridiculous. I was telling you off air earlier. We just lost out on a deal today on a house that I won't get into too much detail, but there's no way it would have ever appraised for what they supposedly got a full price cash offer for.
Uh-huh.
But on a cash offer, it doesn't have to appraise. So there you go.
Was it your listing?
No, I had
Oh,
a buyer trying to get it, and um, he offered. We offered way more than I even thought. His offer would appraise for, and then we got a call, and the listing agent said, "Well, sorry, we just got a full price cash offer," and I just can't believe it. Because I mean, 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that same place would have sold for about $350,000 less. It's
mm,
just ridiculous. I can't even. It's hard to give good advice because when you have people throwing ridiculous offers at things. I
money.
mean, I don't know what to tell someone. Especially if they're financing, because again, it's not going to appraise, and then they're going to have to come up with the difference if they still want it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. But that's the biggest thing. And that's why I feel sorry for people that are in that first time home buyer category because they're getting so hammered, like and being outbid on some of these offers that I mean, and like this one girl's like, I can't win. Like I don't know how to win. I don't have an extra $50,000 that I can just. She's like, I got 20. You know?
uh,
I can't do it. And that's like the same story I'm hearing over and over and over again. There's a girl who watches this channel who's also on TikTok, and she would make an appointment for a house to go see it, and that afternoon, and by the time the afternoon came around, it was already sold. And that's happened to her not once, not twice, but it's so many times as she's been trying to find a house since before the beginning of COVID. It's been like that, and she lives in Massachusetts, so
yeah.
like it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. There was an article about it, and that's why we're having this discussion today. If anyone wants to pull that up on the screen, that it's talking about how these home buyers are getting squeezed with the interest rates and with home prices right now. Um, I I empathize and sympathize with them so badly because it never has been like this that I can remember in history. That even though like the supply being so low, and then having like no availability for houses whatsoever, even in the hottest market in 2000 was 4 5 6, like whenever that before that last housing boom, at least at least there was enough new construction, where I lived in Florida, that you could still get a house. Like you may have to hunt for it and you have to make out the ball about it, but at least you could get one. That's not that's not the article. I Let me pull up the article that, and hold that thought. Hold that on. Well, while Eddie's looking for that article really quick, let's put up this banner, this thing, and you can explain this while I pull up the article for Eddie. All right, go ahead there, Will. I'll be right back.
Oh yeah, this chart, I sent it over to Kristina the other day because I found it very interesting. And we're talking about our market in Montana, and as you can see, especially in the western side of Montana and all of Idaho, I mean, this part of the country kind of stands out from the entire country. That's the percent growth we've had in this area, and so we're just getting tons and tons of people moving up here, wanting to move up here, and that's where these crazy offers are coming from, because people are selling out in the bigger cities, and then they're coming up here and offering cash. And so yeah, we've seen nothing like this.
I'll tell you what's really strange. Like, let me pull up this one more time because this is funny. So if you look at Louisiana and it says losing population, that isn't a big surprise. And it's been a problem here in Louisiana for years. And in order to combat that problem, we have this thing called the early it's like an early college thing. Like if your kids make good grades here in Louisiana, part of your college tuition is paid for by the state of Louisiana, and you get your kids' college nearly paid for. So, because my daughter got good grades the last few years of high school, her college tuition every quarter is only $4,000. That's it. That's all she has to pay. If she was to live on campus, then of course it would cost a little bit more. But since we live right down the road, she doesn't have to live on campus. So that has saved us thousands of dollars. So if you were in a place where you're like, I don't know what I'm going to do for my kids for college, and they're smart, move to Louisiana and get yourself on the college plan here, man. you get signed up. But the reason they did that was so that kids would go to college and they'd say, you know what, Louisiana isn't that bad a place to live. We had a lot of fun. You could get some crawfish, and maybe we'll stay and raise a family. But they did also find, though, even though they're losing population, the other thing that they did find is that sometimes people leave. They get to that point where they leave college, and then they're like, you know what? I think I want to go back home, and they come back later on in life. So I found that interesting. All right, Eddie. Now, if you want to go ahead and pull up that article, if you could, please, my friend. He was pulling up your article. I guess there was another article.
I recognize it. I was like, I didn't know we were talking about that one.
Nope. Oh, here we go. Home buyers are beginning to feel the squeeze. You're cutting off some of the words here. Okay. A 1-2 punch with higher mortgage rates and escalating home prices reduced home buyer availability to buy homes in February. The trend is also likely to worsen in the coming months. The national median monthly mortgage payment settled into loan applications, increasing 8.3% from $1,526 in January to $1,653 in February, according to a survey published Thursday in Mortgage Bankers Association. Compared to February 2021, payments jumped to 25.6%. Conventional loans, the national median mortgage payment went from $1,582 to $1,749 in February. Meanwhile, FHA loans increased from $1,142 to $1,201 in the same period. Low unemployment has spurred strong income growth in 2022, but homebuyer affordability has decreased due to the quick rise in mortgage rates. Amidst the steep home price growth, Edward Seller of MBA's Association Vice President for the Housing Economics and Executive Director at the Research Institute of Home of America, in a statement. Loan offices on Thursday told Housing Wire that the rate locks for 30-year fixed rate mortgages were coming around 4.75, about 30 basis points higher than the Freddie Mac weekly PMMS report found. They were teetering near 5% this week. 5%. Some people were getting locked in just under 5% this week. Did you have anybody that did you hear anything about this, Will?
Yeah, same thing. People are starting to panic, but our inventory is so low. It's not like you can just lock in and go buy a place, so
Right, but some people are just accepting houses that they wouldn't have normally bought. That worries me because in a couple of years from
yeah,
now, these people are gonna like, I'm sure there's some that have the regret already.
yep.
Together with the increase in loan application amounts, a mortgage application's median principal and interest payment in February jumped $127 from January and $337 from a year ago. That's a lot of money to add to somebody's mortgage payment, especially if they were in that first time home buyer category. Like that's more than that's like car payment, a,
Yeah.
a nice car payment. The new purchase application payment index increased 146.3 in February compared to the 135.1 in the prior month. What does that mean? What is that prior application mortgage? I don't know this index. What is this index? Do you know that index, Will?
I do not.
Okay. Well, at least I'm not the only one. A higher mortgage payment to income ratio means that the new loans are taking up a large share of the typical person's income, of course, due to increased application in home loans and rising rates and their decrease in earnings. Here's the thing, though, like, well, this is the part that's blowing my mind too. We have like massive inflation on top of it all, right? So we have home prices that are record high. No one has seen home prices increase this quickly at this rate ever in history. Then we have inflation where like I just went and bought $50 worth of groceries and it was literally one grocery bag and there was no meat in it. It was just canned goods and some vegetables. That was it. Oh, and I did buy some cat food. But besides that, I mean, it shouldn't have been $55 for that bag of groceries. Then on top of it all, then you have mortgage rates that are so high. How are people going to afford this? Like,
Well, and you
where
forgot to mention our lovely gas prices at the moment.
then on top of that, and then there's gas prices. Like, this has got to like at some point we're gonna have to feel this. Like, there's gonna have to be more like I don't know. I don't know how people are making it. Like, how are they doing it?
I don't know. We have a huge issue here just with, housing and even rentals. Even if you don't own a house, trying to find a rental here is impossible, and they keep jacking those prices up for everybody too.
Did you see that 60 Minutes special in
Yeah,
the
I did.
Austin, Texas?
Yep.
35% they increased it in 1 year.
Um,
35% the rental. And they're like, "Well, that's market share. What are you gonna do about it?" And they own so
you know,
many. They're the ones who set the market share.
yeah.
They own so many. They're the ones who set the market rate. So this is about, oh, thank you. Eddie's pulling up this, like, because I didn't know this. What is this index? The Mortgage Bankers Association Purchase Application Payment Index was, and it's called
Could they give it
PAPI
a
for
longer
short.
name?
Yeah, PAPI for short, measures how new mortgage payments vary across time relative to income. Higher index values indicate that the mortgage payment to income ratio, PIR, is higher than a month where the index is lower. Thank you. I learned something new today. Thank you. We all learned something new. With what's the pappy say? What's the pappy say? Like, maybe if we're around mortgage people, we can
Yeah,
sound
but
really
what?
like cool and savvy and be like, "Hey, so what is the pappy numbers this week?" And they're gonna be like, "Oh, real estate agents know what that means. We know the lingo."
Yeah, you know what it means, but we don't know how that number compares to what it was in normal times.
Well, I know. I know. The thing, like, I'm just really concerned. How is this all going to play out? That I think about this. This is one of those things I think about all the time. We have like I believe what that 60 Minutes special has been saying because I've been saying it for over like 2 years now. That this is a design to make the younger generations rent homes forever. Like, I'm not too sure that even if there was like there's a couple YouTubers are saying there's going to be this big wave of foreclosures that hit the market. Can I just tell you the amount of foreclosures that are supposed to be hitting the market won't even make a drop of difference drop of difference. And not only that, that was inventories that's been sitting on their book for over a year. So it isn't new foreclosures. This has been in the works. Vacant properties that have been in the works. Um, and I just think that even though those go on the market, and private equity firms are going to end up purchasing them anyway, especially if they're in hot housing markets. I can't see them making a difference and causing home prices to drop anywhere, unless it's in an area that didn't necessarily see increases like you know all
Well,
the
I
other
went through the
minors.
last foreclosure thing, and
Mhm.
I don't. Someone, I don't know who the YouTubers are you're referring to, and you don't have to
I'm
name
not going
them.
to
But
say names.
no,
I'm
no,
not
I'm
saying
just
names.
saying I don't know who it is. But
Mhm.
um, my point is that in my area, again, I'm not talking about nationally. I know my area. I'm not going to pretend I know the whole nation, but in this area, it would be almost impossible to lose your house right now to foreclosure because they're worth, if you're underwater right now, I don't know how you could be underwater right now. So why
Mhm.
would you, if all of a sudden you lost your job, you lost your money, you lost everything, and you can't make your house payments anymore? Well, you can sell your house and probably have a boatload of cash in your pocket. So I don't know how you would, I don't know who would allow it to go to foreclosure at this point because
I don't
makes no
either,
sense.
unless it's just some like stubborn idiot that's like, you know what, forget it. We're just going to stay here and we're just going to let that bank kick us out of here. I'm not making another payment, and I don't want no realtors in my house. I can't imagine like just somebody does not like just being stubborn and
Well,
silly.
sure, but again, how many of those? Yes,
Not
you're
many.
always going to find the outlying idiot like that, but
Right. I
it's
can't even
not going to
imagine
be
short
like
sales.
2008 or 2009. There's no way, especially in my area. Maybe other areas, but not here.
We just don't have enough houses. That's all there is to it. CC
Yeah,
Moon says mortgage rates will be about 6 to 8 this year.
there's so
I
deals
don't
on
know,
mortgage
like,
rates.
at the end of December, I had a group of real estate agents on this specific live stream, and at that time, I said, "I think we're gonna be, like, at 4.75 to 5% by the at least by the end of 2022," and they thought I was crazy. They're like, "No, we'll probably just stay maybe at 4," and I'm like, "I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, the Fed said they're gonna raise it." No, I mean, the thing is that, they need these blah, 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 blah. Well, sure enough, I mean, then it looks like I'm way off too, obviously 4.75, or higher. Like now 5% is going to look like a whisper in the wind. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think we're going to end? Like, how high do you think it's going to go this year? Like, I know you don't like, this is just your guesstimate. Of course, do not
I would
hold him to
say
his feet to the fire.
I can't. I mean, again, I would say like 5.5. I don't. I'm
You
not. I don't think they'll go high. I mean, who knows? I mean, the last couple of years, if you nobody predicted anything, so things change so fast, and I think it's going to depend on how this war turns out, or continues, or doesn't
was just going to
continue.
say
It's
that
going to depend on everything, and kind of back to your 60 minutes or that show that set,
segment.
part of segment. Yes. Um, I think again, capitalism is going to, that's what will stop this. These big companies, yes, they're huge companies. Yes, they're buying everything up, but they can't keep jacking the rates up so high. At some point, there's going to be pushback, or at some point, they're not going to have anybody that can afford to rent it, and they're going to have to come down.
Well, they were highlighting, and this is coming out on my video on Tuesday. They were highlighting this company, Tricon, but the
Hmm.
company that if you look at their board of directors, if you look at it, there's a guy on there, and he happens to work for Blackstone. And I was like, wait a minute. Then they highlighted the other largest rental home company in the area, and that is Invitation Homes. And if you looked on their board of directors, it used to be Blackstone. In 2015, once Blackstone ever knew everything they needed to know about buying rental properties and putting a business together, they sold out and went into Tricon. And then they built up Tricon. So they learned all their mistakes from Invitation Homes and then became a big competitor to Invitation Homes by starting this Tricon company out of Canada. Now they're trying to buy up as much in the Sun Belt, like Atlanta, which they have a huge thing going on in Atlanta, in Phoenix, Arizona, in some areas in Texas. Once if Blackstone jumps out of this specific company, it's because they're going to go ahead and start another one. And I guarantee they own a lot of shares still in Invitation Homes. I don't know. These companies, they gross me out. They gross me out. Matt Daniel says, "How are you, Louisiana folks, doing with the parades? The parades are done. Mardi Gras is over. Question: why are there some Louisiana price reductions, including the Big Easy? Those haunted houses like Skeleton Key are rather nice and cool. We just had a massive tornado that came through New Orleans. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Oh, I saw that.
In some areas of New Orleans, you would have seen reductions because of the fact that we have an area that used to be a Airbnb area, and it suffered because of the fact that so many people weren't visiting during COVID. So some people have decided to sell, and then you can't turn that back into an Airbnb because there's a law that's passed that, like if you were grandfathered in, but you can't sell your business to somebody else. That house has to be sold as a house after that. So that could be some of the price reduction, but most of the time that place sells like hotcakes. I don't know the exact reason why you would have seen any kind of price reductions. It could have been, yeah, it's up 14.3% over the year, but you could have seen a couple here and there. Now, luxury homes, anything over $500,000, you're going to see a little bit more of I'd say stabling, and I shouldn't say 500,000, more like 700,000-800,000. You're going to see more of a stabling of those prices, not necessarily full on reductions. That's for sure. Yeah, that's what I have to say about that. But the parades are over. Mardi Gras is done. We're in Lent times, but I have to tell you this is crawfish season. And so this is the weirdest part. So grocery stores will boil up crawfish right in the front of their store. So when you're going in, you smell it. It smells like heaven. And you can get hot crawfish right when you come out of the grocery store during Lent. It's awesome. We did that Friday. We did that Friday. We got some fried catfish and some crawfish.
I
They're
love
so
your
good.
food. I love your food down there. That's the one thing that is so good.
Oh, Lawnmower said crawdads. You bite your tongue, my friend. Those are crawfish. There's no such thing as a crawdad. There's no such thing as a crayfish. Somebody said, "Oh, look at them crayfish." I'm like, "No, that's a crawfish. It's crawfish."
Well, I grew up in Minnesota, and we called them crayfish as well.
Well, you guys are like Yankees practically, When you're up north, you're a little cold and stuff. You don't know anything about crawfish. Maybe up there
True.
they're crayfish. Maybe they're a different breed. If there's any
There's not
questions, then you
nearly
can put
as
them on the
many of them.
screen.
Nobody ever cooked them up there.
If you guys have any questions, make sure that you put them in the chat there and just type the word question first, and then Eddie will pull it up on the screen. I see that there was a super chat that come in, Eddie, just now. I'm just going to go ahead and pull it up, Eddie. Okay, here we go. All right, Dom's verbatim, verbatim bicep. Oh my God, can you say that? Do you know that word?
Vibranium.
Vibranium. Thank you. Dom's vibranium bicep says, "It is depressing for me because I served overseas and I come back and I can't afford to buy in Tampa." Tampa is another market that a lot of investors have bought up. I was in a group of it's up to 400 to 600,000 here right now. And during the peak in 2007, it was around 230, 240. Like maybe it was a little about 320 during the peak during the last housing boom, but it sunk like a rock afterwards because like people were buying up houses like crazy over in the Tampa, Orlando, Miami areas. It's crazy. Yeah, and here's the other thing too. It's like, how are people supposed to, like, what are they gonna do? Like, they can't, these prices cannot stay like this forever, and we just can't allow all these, corporations to buy up so many houses. There has to be some rules and regulations on how many houses they're allowed to buy in an area. Corporations can't. I know the most that's only, they say, like 2% of the market that corporations buy, and the individual investors own more, but like they're taking big chunks out of the hottest markets in the United States. That's the problem. That's the
Yeah.
problem. Look, it's still going up. Like the median right now, what is it? $360,000. That's a lot. It's up 22% year over year, 22% since last year. They had said that we were only supposed to go up like 6%. When, like, at the end of 2021, they're like, "Oh, we'll probably go up another 6%." And look at that. You know?
See, I think I'm going to disagree with you a little bit. I mean, yes,
Uh-huh.
there's no doubt that the corporations are buying stuff up in, especially down in the South, but there's none buying stuff up where I'm at, and we're still going through the roof. I think I think the big thing is COVID, and it kind of made people realize, hey, I don't want to live wherever I live, whether it's a big city, whether it's, wherever. They want to get out, and they just figured, I want, that's what we're seeing here is people just want to be free, and they want open land, and they want,
No neighbors.
wilderness and places to go. And so that's what's
What's the
driving our
solution then?
prices. What's that?
What's the solution then?
Well, I think it's just, I think, again, I think we just need to get caught up. I don't think, obviously, 2.5 years ago, nobody in the planet saw COVID coming. And
No.
all of a sudden, you get this gigantic mass, not immigration, but, moving around. And there's just no supply. And it's in our area, there's only so many contractors, and there's only so many houses they can build a year. And that's where we're at. I mean, they've just approved all these huge subdivisions, but it's just going to take time. And I think that's, it's just,
Builders haven't been building as many houses as they were building previously after the last crash. They have the ability to do it. They just haven't been, because they weren't going to be caught with their pants down again like they were after the last crash. So they're like, well, normally we could sell 100 houses a year, but if something happens, I don't want to hold on to 25 houses. We could sell easily 75 houses. Instead of building 100, we're going to only build 75, knowing that we could sell 75 houses. They've, like, it's historic. They can show you, it literally is a map how much reduction in new home builds has happened since the last recession, and it hasn't come back. Um, so we've
yeah.
had a shortage prior to the last housing
But
bust.
we didn't have the demand, especially in our area, that we did over the past 2 years.
Right, right.
So,
Uh, Prune a blue pepper. I like your icon. That's interesting. I like that. I would actually try that. Question: do you think this might cause a change in government support away from picket fence housing to more multi-tenant homes? I think we're in some areas we're not going to have a choice, because the infrastructure is towards the cities. That we don't have a good infrastructure once you head out of some of these certain cities. I know we don't here in Louisiana. I know many areas in Texas. It stops at one point. It's a real problem, like in other countries as well. In Australia, like all the major cities, everybody lives in that major city, and it's almost like someone put an imaginary line in the sand and said, "Nobody move here," and nobody can, because there's, like, they don't have the right plumbing, they don't have the right roads, they don't have the right bridges, they don't have nothing beyond a certain point. So that's what's going to happen there. It's going to have to be like that. California is kind of paving the way, but of course, let them make the mistakes first with it, because they're always the first ones on the map, but they make a lot of mistakes. But I think a lot of families are going to end up turning into multi-generational homes, and if that's the case, I think a lot of families are going to decide, yeah, we're going to have this house, but it's going to be like a duplex, and new family can live on this side. This is our family home on the other side. Here in Louisiana, though, I mean, as expensive as we got, you still can get a house with some land outside of like Baton Rouge, outside of New Orleans. You can still get some dirt in a nice house, but in those major cities, I don't think you're gonna have much of a choice. I mean, is it going to happen overnight? No. I mean, I'm talking like 20, 30 years from now, you're going to see a lot more like duplexes, triplexes, that kind of thing, multi-family units. That's my prediction. What do you see, Will?
You know what? I just got kicked off there for a moment. I thought something was, I don't know. Hopefully it was good on your end because I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear you. So I'll agree with whatever you said. How about that?
I was just saying that I think, like, because he was asking, do you think that there's going to be more multifamily units coming on? I think that people are going to request that more. I think that used to be kind of one of those things like, oh God, I don't want to do that. And it was like if you went into like places like Philadelphia and Pittsburgh and stuff, they saw multifamily units as a thing, part of the city, but you didn't really do it outside of there. I think it's going to become something that people want to do more. And like I said, we'll let California work out the bugs on that first, and then we'll do a better version in other states. That's what always happens. Serenity Cow says, what possible events can you imagine would cause a corporate investors to sell their homes? Inflation starts to tank. If inflation starts to go down, but these the corporations that they were talking about in this 60 Minutes piece, they're not going anywhere. This is their business plan, is to buy up as many homes as possible. That's, I mean, Invitation Homes, that's what they were doing way before the pandemic. And Tricon just took that same model from Invitation Homes and brought it over to Tricon. And then there's homes for rent, or homes for rent. That's another one. There's another group that buys houses, like where the home buyer finds the house, and then this company purchases the house. And after they purchase the house, that gives it's like a rent to own type thing. And after a year, once their credit is all fixed, then they buy that from the company that purchased it originally, but they get to live in that house for like a year. That's not here in our area. We don't have that. I haven't seen any of those done here. I think it's Home Partners of America. I think that's what they're called, Home Partners of America. Do you have that there?
Like I said, we have none of that. We have, we do not.
Mm-hmm. Oh, at what point will people move back to the Rust Belt? When there's jobs?
Yeah, well, there again, we're obviously not the Rust Belt here, but now that people can work remotely, it's going to be, they're going to start going to places that are affordable. And I'm guessing those areas, the Rust Belt, again, I don't know the markets there, but I'm guessing there's some deals. I saw something, this isn't in the Rust Belt, but something in Kansas, I believe.
Topeka, Kansas. You can get $15,000 just to move there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're coaxing people to come there. And if you have a job, they'll give you a credit of $15,000 to move there.
Well, and think if you can work remotely and you're paying pennies for a house, I mean, what a great way to go there for 10, 15 years and save your money, and then go retire where you want to be. I mean, I don't know.
Right. But if you are a, I don't know, 28-year-old kid, would you want to move to Topeka, Kansas?
Oh God, no.
I'm sorry. Like when I'm young, that would literally be you sent me to hell. Like, no, I'm not moving to Topeka, Kansas. No, indeed. I mean, I could do it when I had little kids and stuff, but when I'm young, I want to go out and, find the nightlife, have fun, party.
Oh, you don't think
Topeka, Kansas doesn't sound like a party town?
Topeka's rocking on a Friday night? Come on.
Jerry Prusa says, yay, I made it. Hi, Marcel. Hey, Walter. Those are my cats. I should leave the door open. Maybe they'll come in for a visit. Let me open this.
Well, as we wait for the cats to show up.
I just opened it up. Actually, honestly, it was another reason too. I was actually sweltering. Like the machine itself gets hot. and the lights are hot. And I have this sweatshirt on. I'm like, I'm kind of roasting right now. So I was glad. Thank you, Jerry, for giving me a reason to open the door, not only for the cats, but also so I wouldn't melt any further. We don't
Well,
want my face melting off.
you'll be happy to know that I had to turn my little space heater on when I came into my office this morning or before this. So we're still
We
not
it,
warm here
we have
yet.
yo weather here. One day it's cold, like we're wearing sweatshirts and sweaters and everything. The next day we have like massive rainstorm, super humidity, tornadoes. The next day it'll be cold. Then after that, it's at like 84 degrees, and then everybody's like, I feel sick. And I'm like, no wonder why. Like, so he says 85 in Dallas right now. Mary Gibbons says, I think increasing mortgage rates will only limit or reduce inventory because people will not want to sell their home, which in turn will increase home prices. Do you agree?
Are you
Well,
waiting for me?
yeah.
I was
Yeah.
pondering that for a moment. Um,
I
I don't know.
thought you froze.
That's I don't know about that. I I'm not sure. That's a
There's so
very good.
much cash. They're like, honest to God, like a lot of what we're seeing as far as sales is concerned is held up by a boatload of cash.
Yeah.
That's that. I mean, eh, even if the interest rates were going to go up, right? A lot of the deals that we see are cash offers. So even today, if the interest rates went to 8, let's just say, I don't think that would take out that many people because so many of the offers that are accepted are cash. I would say like 37% are in my area are solid cash offers.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was sitting there pondering that because I was kind of going back through my head the last 5 or 6 deals I had, and 4 of those were cash. And so I was thinking, well, interest rates wouldn't have affected anything. So, and like the one I told you about this morning, we got beat out by a cash offer. So when I was sitting there trying to educate the other agent about how this is never going to appraise, she's like, well, it doesn't matter. We just got a cash offer. So,
I
well,
know.
good for you.
I know, and then they waive the appraisal altogether. They're like, we don't need an appraisal. We're just gonna go ahead and buy it." And
Yeah.
then, like, the big theory there for before the whole thing with the pandemic was that we were gonna see, a wave of, all these homes that would hit the market when the baby boomers decided to sell their family home and buy their retirement home down in the southern region. Well, those baby boomers kept their house. They're like, "Well, you know what? This is an income property. We like it here. We can go visit the family. We're gonna keep that house and buy a house in Montana." We'll keep the
Yeah.
family house.
Well, part of the
So
problem here too with people selling their houses is where do you go? You know,
exactly.
Yeah, I would love to sell mine and cash out right now, but then, I we have nowhere to go, and there's
And you're
nothing
certainly not gonna
available.
rent because the rent
Yeah,
is so high. Forget
yeah.
that.
So
Rent has gotten so crazy. Like, the amount of in rent is insane. Like, we could charge a whole heck of a lot. We have some renters that are moving out, and when I found out what we could charge in rent, I'm like, I couldn't sleep at night. Like, there's no way. I'm not doing that. I saw this, come up. It said, it's called It's Nick. He says, "I'm 28 and I will move anywhere cheap at this point and will consider Indiana, Missouri, cheaper, PA, maybe Michigan, need to leave, New Jersey." It's Nick. I want to tell you something. I did a video, not my best edited video, but it was highly informative of how the houses look in certain areas. And it was the 10 most affordable places in the United States currently. And you may want to check those out. If you don't mind the cold, there one of them was in Indiana, another one was in Iowa, another one was in Topeka, Kansas, Macon, Georgia. I can't remember all the cities, but you may want to check those out. And then I want you, this is the other thing I want you to do because somebody showed this to me last week as well, is that there is lots of these areas, lots of states that have certain cities that they're trying to build back up, and they are offering people that work remotely to they're like, we're gonna give you a $10,000 cash to like move to our area. Or, like I said, Topeka is offering $15,000 cash. So go look those up. I mean, might as well make that bank while you can. Who wouldn't want another extra $15,000? Oh, Tanya Cool, who's cooler than the other side of the pillow, says, Kristina, hi, Kristina, Eddie, and Will from Pittsburgh. Missing you. She always was my little co-host. I don't know if you knew that. She was here for, I don't know, I think like a couple months, and she would sit here with me and we
I
do
saw
this
her
together.
last week when you told me that you guys had brought up Montana, so I watched the replay because I was doing a live almost at the same time as you, and
Yeah, I
um,
just finished. I had just
I
finished when you were
saw
doing
her
yours.
sitting there, so I was wondering who that was. So hello,
Yeah,
Tanya.
that's Tanya. She's cooler than the other side of the pillow. Yeah. Oh, I do have a clarification. Thank you, Tanya, for reminding me. So we had got into a discussion on which states had the worst bridges and roads in the United States, and I kept saying Louisiana did, and apparently Louisiana's like number 3 or 4 on the list. And actually, there wasn't. Washington had some pretty bad ones. California had some bad ones. Louisiana was on the list too, but I had gotten it wrong. Louisiana isn't the worst. It is not the worst, but it sure does feel the worst. This is the only state when you know exactly when you hit Louisiana, because wherever you're coming from, if it's Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas, soon as you hit that Louisiana line, your feelings feel like they're about to fall out. Like it's smooth, 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 and then you forget how bad they are until you come back home. They feel like the worst. All right. Mike Lynn says, if home construction has been so low, did the builders manage to stay in business the last decade? Supply and demand isn't encouraging building. Nuts. They were willing to say that, we don't need to make this amount of money. We know that we're going to sell this amount. So this is how many houses we're going to sell. Only if like the big track builders, of course, they're still going to build, your DR Hortons, your here we have Level Construction. We have another company called DSLD, Perry Homes. The big dudes are still going to build, but the smaller builders are not. Like if they built, let's just say 20 homes a year, they're going to be like, no, we're only going to build to what we know will sell. That's it. We're not going to do anything higher. And those smaller builders make up a good portion of home building in the United States.
That's what I deal with here are the smaller guys, and they, it was interesting with the price of lumber. I put a house. You used to see it all the time on our MLS. These builders would advertise or they would list a to be built house for like $400,000, let's say, and
Mm-hmm.
I had a guy that bought one of those. It was right before the the lumber market went crazy, but I forget what exactly he paid or the contract said. But then when we went 6 months later to do the final walkthrough, the gal that was the representative of that builder was like, this is the very last one we're doing like that because she goes, we're not losing money, but we didn't make a dime because
Yeah.
the cost of lumber was so different from the time they started until they finished.
All the
So,
builders redesigned their home loans. I mean, their home contracts.
yeah,
Um, they redid them. So here in Louisiana, the home builders will not sign a state residential uh, purchase agreement.
contract.
They don't sign. They won't touch them. We have to fill them out as real estate agents. And the buyer signs them, but the contract that holds for that specific house is the builder's contract. And the builder's contract, I mean, let me just put it this way: nothing in it is in favor for the buyer, not a thing. And they did a whole addendum to that, saying that if the prices of materials went up, that price went back to the buyer and not on the homeowner. That was like a
Well,
big thing that happened to Texas. Like these one couple had put in a purchase agreement for a house. By the time that we got to construction, they told them it was going to be $100,000 more, and they had already sold their house. And they were like, "Oh my God, we can't afford this." And they were like, "Well, we'll just sell it to the next person. We don't care."
yeah. Well, and what do you do? I mean, how do you? Apparently, you just lose your earnest money because what do you do if it's a construction type loan? And all of a sudden you start out thinking it's going to be 400,000, then it turns into 5.25 or whatever, and you can't
Mm-hmm.
afford it. Then what? You know, you're
Right.
right.
Well,
You can sell it, but the people that were originally going to buy it are the ones that get hammered and screwed on that
mm-hmm.
deal.
In some of these cases, though, the the builders have given them back their earnest money because it really wasn't their fault, because that wasn't the agreed upon original price.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them weren't all the way heartless, like they were only 75% heartless. They were 25% less heartless because they gave back the earnest money. But, I mean, I can't really blame them for wanting to make money, but oh my God, I'd feel terrible. Like I like basically took a family out of their home. I wouldn't, oh no, I couldn't sleep at night. Mary Gammon says, I think
Is this the one we
Eddie,
just
that we've
did?
already done that question. Eddie says sorry.
That's the one that I
Hey,
sat there
yeah,
pondering.
and yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, this is a false facted tis facted. Forget it. I'm not even gonna try. Even though there are 2% of the market aren't there a marginal buyer? Doesn't the presence of these corporations with deep pockets function like a de facto put on residential housing? Even though they're 2% of the market, aren't they like a marginal buyer? Doesn't their presence of these corporations with deep pockets function like a de facto put on residential housing?
I'm not
Uh,
sure what exactly he's asking there at the end. I mean,
mm,
that's what they said in that 60 Minutes, that yeah, they're only 2%, and the mom and pops are the ones building or buying a lot of the rentals. And so again, who knows what the real number is? Um,
right. Well, let me just put it this way. They're taking that 2% as every house sold in the entire United States. Well, they flat out said, "We're only buying in the Sun Belt area." So they're only buying in the hottest markets in the United States where they know that there is a high amount of millennials and zennials and all those younger people that can't afford to buy a house, that they have no choice to rent. So they're basically they're like people that are chained to their job. So either you're going to live in your parents' basement or you're going to rent from us, and we are renting you the American dream. We're doing you a favor. You don't have to worry about the maintenance of the house. You can have this turnkey hotel lifestyle that we're giving to you, and an increased rate of 35% each year as far as rent payments. But at least, you don't have to worry about taking care of the house. You have no worries of a mortgage payment. That's why you
and the
sold it.
other thing, I'm obviously not defending the corporations. I'm not defending anybody here, but don't you? I mean, that these shows, they like to, you know,
Vilify?
well, and the bad news gets more views. you know,
I've been
they
saying this for way over 2 years. I've been literally showing this for over 2 years. No, I've been saying this. No, this is a problem. And their ultimate goal is to take over as much as possible. You'll be writing your check out to Amazon, for your rent payments. There's this whole thing like people talk about all the time. You'll own nothing and be happy. You'll own nothing. You don't have to any responsibility for anything. You're just gonna pay your payment and you'll be happy. That's what they're it's like a thing. It's like a whole narrative they're trying to sell to younger generations. You don't want this hassle. You don't want this. No, 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 no. You just make a payment and your white life will be so easy.
well, yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Uh, and just listening to him talk and how he was selling it made it very
Well,
clear to me
sure. I
that's
mean,
the
they're
intent.
they're they're out to make money. I mean, of course, he's going to try and tell young people they don't want to buy, but I think there'll be a pushback, just like with everything. And I think these corporations, sure, right now they're buying up stuff and they're trying to make money, just like anybody's trying to make money. But there's going to be a point where they're not making any money, or these young people are like, hey, sorry, I can't afford $3,000 a month for this apartment or house,
Mhm.
whatever it is, and then it'll shift back. It goes in waves. That's my
Yeah.
2 cents.
We'll see what happens because I'm just gonna like throw this out here too, because during the last housing crash, the last one, who bought up all the foreclosed properties? Do you know who the biggest buyer of foreclosed properties was in the United States during that time?
I don't know exactly who, but I could
Blackstone.
imagine.
It's Blackstone. They bought them.
Yeah.
Blackstone
Well,
bought 'em.
again,
Clifton Wellman says, question, have you seen the log cabin kits in tiny homes and the tractor supply site? No, but I'm going to go check them out. I'm 100% going to check those out. I have not seen. Is it the tractor supply? Eddie, if you can pull that up and see if we can take a look at those. Oh, look, Eddie's so good. He already is pulling it up. Wow, I'm the 36,000. Holy $36,000 for that. How many square feet is that sucker? Oh my gosh, $36,000.
Up here, that'd be $500,000.
This looks like the Allwood cabin. So there's a company called Allwood, and they make cabins. And this looks exactly like, yeah, I bet you this is an Allwood cabin. They used to sell these on Amazon. They're out. They're currently out of not because of anything with Amazon. They just sold out of them. Yeah, I think this is the Allwood cabin. Like like 2 years ago, this was $18,000.
Did they have the little asterisk on that with some assembly required?
Yeah, this is exactly what was on Amazon.com. Oh yeah, it totally does. See, this is what it is. And you have to pour your own cement, you have to do your own plumbing, you have to plumb it yourself. I mean, by the time everything's said and done, that's going to be well over, $100,000 depending on your site. Then you got to buy your plot of land as well. So, I mean, and then the roofing materials too that they provide with it isn't what you would really want, especially in certain areas where you have high snow loads. It can handle the snow load weight, but the shingle system, you're going to have to get your own shingle system for it. So just just FYI. Dom says, what happens if locals can't afford the area and are forced to leave? What event would cause this and where do they go? So I'm going to give you my little 2 cents on this. If you take a look at Austin, Texas, they have had their home prices have gone up, probably one of the hottest cities since the pandemic. They've had this problem, and they also have had a huge increase in homelessness because of it. And on top of it all, they've always had a problem, but now it's increased exponentially. And it's not uncommon in places like California, now in Austin, Texas, where you see people that have jobs that may even work 2 jobs, but they also live out of their car at the same time because they have no choice. And they have to work in that area for whatever reason. They have to work in that area, whether they have family there, whatever, and they can't find a place to live and they live out of their car. It's terrible.
Yeah.
What do you guys do there? What do the young people do there?
That is the question of the hour. That's what we're dealing with. And that's funny. That article that Eddie mistakenly put up earlier was about just that. The people that are working at the restaurants, we're a big resort area, so we're not a normal, middle of America town. But we've got all these restaurants and bars and the ski resort and things like that, Glacier Park that people work at, and they're not making tons of money doing that. And it's all younger people. And yeah, we're having a heck of a time finding housing for them. And it's turning into quite the dilemma because you just, with the way the prices are, nothing pencils at this point. So it's going to come down to the city buying land and building with our tax dollars. Or what a couple businesses I've noticed here have done. They've bought their own house and, they let their employees stay in it, just so they have employees. Because it was unbelievable last summer, which is our by far busiest time here. There were really nice restaurants that were closed in the middle of the week because they would close like Tuesday and Wednesday. And then because they only had one shift of people because they're just, people, there's nowhere for people to live up here. And I get, when I do my live show and basically I answer questions about Montana and everybody's like, oh, there are jobs up here. And I said, for sure, you will have absolutely no problem finding a job. You're going to have a problem finding a place to live. So that's where we're at. Yep.
Tony Arden says, $3 super chat. Thank you so much for the $3 super chat. I appreciate you. Here's another $4.99 super chat. Question 2 says, do you see remote work going away? Would Florida become a state of renters? Thanks. I don't see it going away. Matter of fact, like the biggest company, Morgan Stanley, said everybody's coming back to work. Or was it Morgan Stanley, or was it? I'll have to find out. But anyways, they oh, Goldman Sachs, that's what it was. Goldman Sachs. They had all their employees. You're coming back. That's it. You're coming back March 1st. Everybody's coming back, and only half showed up.
Yeah.
They were like, you know what? The employees were saying, hey, we're doing more work. We're getting more done than we ever did before the pandemic. We've hit sales goals and numbers that we've never had before. And I don't want to work next to Jim, who's constantly coughing and picking his nose all the time. I want to stay at home where I'm making you more money. No. And only half showed up. So I think corporations want us all to come back because that way they can keep an eye on us on 24/7. But I think employees are revolting and say, I'm not doing that. Why get rid of me when I'm making you more money than I ever did
Well, and
before?
what we were
Save
just
on
talking
gas.
about. Well, all these commercial buildings now that are sitting empty, how many home units could you put in each one? There you go. We just
I say it all
solved
the
it.
time. Yeah, I say it all the time. You know what? Like we have abandoned malls all over the United States. There's like a mall graveyard across, like they're like tombstones, whispers of the 80s and early 90s that sit vacant now. And I always say that would be the perfect place to put a medical buildings in there, so people could go. Anybody in the community could go there and get your X-rays and your casts and your 24-hour thing. And then the other section could be a whole section for either the elderly or young professionals, that could live up there. That's like condos. You could still have a whole food court area there too. I mean,
Yeah,
like they could repurpose that, and that's already plumbed. It already has
yeah.
parking. Nobody listens to me though. I don't make the rules. And instead, we're just going to let these buildings just sit there and rot, because that's the right thing to do. That's the right thing to do. Alrighty, Eddie, you got another question for us? Question: what do you think the effect will be to the housing market on the Federal Reserve's decision to exit its purchase of MBS securities? Go ahead there, Will. What do you think will be? What do you think the effect will be the housing market of the Federal Reserve's decision to exit the purchases of MBS securities,
I'm
so
not even
mortgage-backed
gonna.
securities?
I have no
They've been
idea.
talking about it for a while, right? Mortgage-backed
Yeah,
securities, that they weren't going to be doing as much, and that's why the interest rates ended up staying as low as they did.
yeah.
Just like anything in the housing market right now, and there is no certainty on anything. Not anything. 1 week, it looks like, oh, we're seeing a little trickle of supply. Oh, look, the lumber's going back down. We're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. And then you turn on the news and it's like, we can't get roofing materials, or oh, look, gas prices are out the roof. So then again, that keeps the prices high because you got to bring those materials to job sites, and that's going to cost more. And then they can't get enough people to build the houses or do repairs on homes. Nothing is certainty right now. Not a thing. Who knows? Mortgage rates could be at 3% next week, or they could be at 6%. I can't. I wish I knew.
I know.
I wish I knew.
There's no way to answer some of these.
No, it's just an opinion, though. He just wants to know what do you think is going to happen with them exiting the mortgage-backed
Well,
securities?
I think it would obviously. To me, I would think that would just make the interest rates go a little higher.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah. That's
Other than that, I didn't take a whole lot of economics classes in college, so I can't get any deeper than that take.
Well, there you go. There you go. All right, on to the next question there.
There was a gal that I was looking back here. Oh, that's
Mike says, if home construction has been so low, Eddie, we already did this. Yes, we did.
there's a
Eddie's
gal that gave
slacking
money
today.
named Rose that she has a good question.
All right, let me pull up the super chat. All right, Eddie, we'll get this one. Jerry says, how long has the Rust Belt been rusty? It's been a while. Maybe they'll be back when steel comes back or the Rust Belt figures out they need to do something else. I'm hoping that maybe they'll come back because we could start making some more chips here in this, in the United States, because they were talking about all these chips. And they've been saying that we're going to start more companies, incentivize them to build their little microchips here instead of waiting on China. Can you please discuss the incredible amount of layoffs in mortgage loan originators all over the U.S.? I didn't know there was an incredible layoff in mortgage loan originators across the U.S. Eddie, can you pull up an article on that? While you're looking for this article, a super chat did come in. Question: I own my home in Utah with a 200K in equity. The house is really too big for us now, and I want to live closer to my job, but downsizing would mean higher payment and rate. Should I stay put? Ooh. I own my house in Utah. The house is really big for us. I want to live closer to my job, and downsizing would mean a higher payment and a rate. Should I stay put? If it was me, I'd stay put. But that is me personally saying that. I don't know your whole situation. That's one of those things you're gonna have to sit with your husband and have a pros and cons list put together, like the pros of us moving and the cons of us of moving, and you put them together and you have a little meeting and you have a big long time discussion. If it was me personally, I'm not moving. No, I hate moving. Can't stand it.
And your accountant.
Yeah, of course. And your financial advisor. Yep. Okay, mortgage businesses seeing layoffs, thousands as volume drops. Some staff can be moved to other businesses, but many can't. Refinance applications drop about 45% in 6 months. Well, I can see that too, because the thing is, if there's a low supply of homes on the market, that means that there isn't enough homes. Sure, people can apply for a mortgage, but if they can't buy a house, or they've been waiting 9 months to buy a house. I mean, how many people do you need to just keep filling out applications when they're not closing them? You're not closing, you're not making money. So it makes sense that they would drop them. The numbers would drop.
Well, and
the number
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Will.
No, I was just going to say, just like with realtors, the last couple of years, everybody, well, I'm going to open a mortgage company, and it's the same with realtors. I'm going to be a real estate agent and make millions. And now I guarantee this year we have an ungodly amount of realtors in our area because, again, everybody thinks it's easy and you just, hang a sign and you'll make $1 million. But kind of like what you were just saying with the mortgages, if there's nothing to sell and you keep losing out on deals, you're not, mortgage people are just like us, where they don't get paid unless they sell something. So I guarantee we're going to have a big drop in agents around here if nothing changes as well.
Well, it's been like for a while now that there's been more real estate agents than there are houses for sale in the whole across the United States. There isn't enough homes for sale. Yeah. So back to the thing was the number of people working as brokers for mortgages and other kinds of loans. A proxy for the total home lending employment has surged more than 50% to around 130,000 since the late 2019, according to the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics. That's right around the highest level since 2006, before the last financial crisis. Nice chart. Yes, Eddie. I love Eddie. It was like, show the chart. But mortgage rates have been rising since August, reaching 3.92. This is obviously a little older. Last week, the highest since May of 2019, with borrowing more expensive applications and refinancing. Mortgages has fallen to about 45% in the last 6 months, according to Mortgage Bankers Association. While some employees can be shunned from handling refinances to other parts of mortgages businesses, such as making loans for home purchases, layoffs in the industry is inevitable, said Jeff. whoever, markets officer of the loandepot.com. Oh, I actually did a thing for Loan Depot recently. One of the largest lenders in consumer outside of the banking sector in the US. With rates moving higher, the capacity is going to be adjusted across the entire industry. Well, that makes sense. Job cuts would be come in a context of the labor market that has been the strongest in the U.S. recovers from the pandemic, with unemployment adjusted at 4% in January. Rising wages are putting pressure on the Federal Reserve to boost rates as soon as next month to help slow down the economic growth of and tame inflation. Okay, let's tame inflation. That would be really nice. Some lenders have already begun to cut back. Mortgage lenders at High Point Capital laid off nearly 10% of its workforce. Better.com, an online mortgage lender, fired around 900 workers in December and during an infamous video conference call. Oh, I remember that. That was that jerk.
Yeah.
And then he's like, sorry. Nice to know you, but now you're going to leave. Lenders in general are trying to find more work for their staff by lowering the standards a bit. Credit rating for the average borrower whose loan is bundling into a mortgage bond backed by a Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac fell to 733 in January from 750 a year earlier. According to the data of Bloomberg, there's still a prime level for a FICO scale that goes from the 300s to 850. Yeah. So here's the thing. It's like I said, there isn't enough houses for home loan officers to put out. I mean, there's only so many loan applications you can do. People don't want to refinance now because a lot of them are already refinanced and now the mortgage rates are going up. Like I couldn't with my actual house right now. I wouldn't refinance. That would be dumb. That'd be dumb because the interest rate's higher than what I purchased this house for. So, people already got in that we're going to do it. Can you explain the appraisal gap and is it here to stay? Can you explain? Go ahead, Will. Can you explain appraisal gaps and do you think it's here to stay?
Well, again, the appraisals that I've been seeing I've always had this question. Here in Montana, I don't know if it's the same in Louisiana, but the appraisers get a copy of the contract. Mm-hmm. So it's always shocking to me that, they come in right at appraisal. But to defend that, I guess, is if you really break it down and think about something, everything is worth what someone's willing to pay for it. So if someone made a stupid offer on something, then I guess that's what it's worth, right?
Right. Well, here, I mean, they do get a copy of the contract, but it's almost like the appraisers have to have confirmation bias, right? So they're like, okay, this is what this buyer was willing to pay for it. Is there anything to support that in this area? If there isn't anything that has sold in the area that can support that price, our appraisals have come in low. They've come in low. And I don't.
We've had
the only way
few,
the appraisal. Yeah. Well, the only way I think the appraisal gap is going to disappear is if the market the shifts and changes and where it becomes like we still have this form that's on the MLS about COVID. I haven't seen one of those cross my desk since like a year ago. Nobody cares. Like there was this whole addendum, like if you go into the house or the house doesn't close because someone gets sick with COVID, you have X amount of days to close it and it extends out the contract. I haven't seen one of those, but that was like, let me just tell you, when that first came out, boy, everybody was dotting their I's and crossing their T's. And I haven't seen one, nobody filling out one in a while. I think some of these forums are going to be a trend. And only in certain cases will you see appraisal gap forms being used in the future. For right now, they're gonna be here for a little while longer. But I don't think this will be a permanent thing that stays in the contracts. I just can't see it staying. Anything that with less paperwork with us makes us happier.
Well, we don't have. So you have something that, I mean, we have an appraisal contingency. But what does your contract say about appraisals? That it sounds like it's different than ours.
It's a different addendum. The appraisal gap addendum. If the gap is too wide, you can step away.
Oh, we don't. That's not a thing here.
All right. Jordan Todd Brookman says, if considering an on your lot builder, I'm considering an on your lot builder. Oh, okay. So you have the lot and the builder's going to come out there. And I'm responsible for finding and buying land. When is a good time to buy land? I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and empty land is more than some of these houses are going for. Holy land in my area. This is what my suggestion would be, is you need to speak to somebody that is proficient in land in that specific area. Like, not all real estate agents, even though they sell a boatload of houses, know diddly squat about buying dirt and what you need to know about dirt and the plot lines and the utilities and what the usage is that's allowed for, what the square footage allowance is for that specific lot. There, you have to find a real estate agent that understands land and dirt and what you want to do with that. If you're looking for a real estate agent in Phoenix, just give me, you just fill out the referral form on my website. Go to KristinaSmallhorn.com and fill out that form, and I'll connect you with somebody. But Phoenix, Arizona is one of the hottest markets in the United States. They have more build to rent communities than some of the other areas, because they have more vacant land. So these builders are not building to sell them; they're building them to rent them out. That's all over Phoenix. And do you know who's buying them? You want to know who's buying them? Well,
I bet I can guess.
guess.
Blackstone.
Yep. Blackstone. Yeah. Well, it's they're doing it through Tricon. They're doing it through Tricon. So, question regarding rising interest rates, what effect should that have on home prices in normal market? I've heard different opinions on this. In a normal market, if the interest rates go up, home prices go down. It's like a teeter-totter, like
Yep.
usually. This is the most unusual market I've ever seen. What do you think is going to cause in this market? What's going to happen if the interest rates go up?
Well, I think we touched on this earlier. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've been going up. I do think eventually it will slow things down, because not everybody's a cash buyer, but there's so many cash buyers that, like I told you my deal this morning, it
Mm-hmm.
made no difference if the interest rates were 20%, there was a cash buyer. So it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I think,
I don't know. I mean, it should have in normal market, yes. In typical normal, like traditional housing market, interest rates go up, home prices go down because the interest in homes goes down. And as the interest goes down, sellers have become more desperate to sell their house, and they need to sell it because they need to go somewhere else. So they will drop their price in order to be able to get the buyer to buy their house. The thing that's different this time is so many people are using cash to purchase these houses. So um, I I don't know why it's the way it is. I don't know how long it will take before home prices ever drop. I don't even think they'll ever go back to where they were before pre-pandemic numbers. Unless some significant uh, economic disaster happens, I just can't see the prices tanking that low.
I agree.
Thanks, Will.
No, I mean, we've kind of beat that into the ground. There's, with so many cash buyers and just the way that the current economy is, and again, I'm speaking for my specific area. We have people coming up here from all the bigger cities where they just sold their, little tiny house for $2 million. And they come up here and like, oh my God, look at this townhouse for 500,000, where I think, my God, 500,000, that's crazy. And they look at it like it's a bargain. And so they pay
Yeah.
cash and still have $1 million in their pocket. So that there is the problem.
That's how I felt like when I moved from Florida to Louisiana, because I had this little 1,500 square foot home on a postage stamp lot, and it was like, I mean, the utilities in this thing were so expensive, and it was like a concrete house. we sold that thing for like, I think it was 240, right? And then we come to Louisiana and they were building this brand new neighborhood. And I'm like, oh my God, Eddie, this is so nice. He's like, it is nice. It was so big. It was over 2,000 square feet. I mean, that was a lot of square footage for a little young family. And I'm like, I'm afraid to ask, how much is this house? And she goes, oh, let me look. Oh, it's 199. It's $200,000. And I'm like, sold. Like, sign the papers tomorrow. We did. That was it.
Yeah.
Couldn't believe it. I felt like I won the lottery. I'm moving into a brand new house with a huge yard for the kids to play in. I mean, and like for what I sold my house to move to, I was like, man, this was a great trade,
Yeah.
Felt like I won the lottery. It was wonderful. It was wonderful.
Think of the mansion you could buy in Topeka right now.
Yeah, I know. No kidding. Wouldn't limiting or heavily taxing people that own more than one property on a house greatly help, being them private or corporations? Okay, so I hate to say limiting people on how many properties they can own. I think that a corporation, if they're in one specific housing market, they shouldn't own 20% of that housing market. Like I don't even know how an industry could control, or a town could control how many houses a corporation could build. Not only that, the best way to handle it, to tell you the truth, is whenever a new housing development starts in your area, ask them if they're going to be a build to rent community, right? And you can put your 2 cents in on why you may or may not think this is a good idea, and voice your opinion. The only way that they're going to know if the community wants something like this is if you say something. So show up at those planning committees and see what happens. The other thing too is if you have an HOA, and many subdivisions have HOAs, you can put a restriction in there that doesn't allow for so many rentals in your specific neighborhood. You don't want your neighborhood to be 50% rentals anyways, because everybody knows that when you have rentals in your neighborhood, those people don't take care of the property in the same way that someone that actually owns the property. It's well documented. If you're a renter and you took offense to that, I'm sorry. It's just one of those things that's pretty well known. You can actually put a addendum in there, if it's not already, that you cannot have X amount of rentals in your specific neighborhood.
Yep.
Jerry Prusa says, HOA alert, just say no, no, no. But I'm going to tell you why HOAs, as many people hate them, there's reasons why you want them. My last neighborhood, the house that I fell in love with, that I thought was so great, over 2,000 square feet that I could raise my little family with. That neighborhood was not an HOA. We had people that were parking in the grass. We had people parking their boat in the street. We had people that would bring their camper and park it on there, and then like have their family member living in the driveway in the front of the house. So as much as HOAs really suck, they can really be good too. You don't have to make it super strict, but you should have some kind of bylaws that protect the neighborhood so you don't have it junked up. You don't want that happening either, because nothing's worse than watching some lady come out in her bathrobe to get the newspaper from her freaking camper in the driveway. Unbelievable.
Well, I say that in the one video of mine that kind of took off. I talked about that at the end of it, where everybody moves to Montana because I want to live in Montana. There's no laws. Well, that sounds good on paper until that happens.
Right.
I don't want an HOA. I don't want anything. And then your next door neighbor decides to, pile up 400 cars out in his yard. And then what does that do to your value? And there's not a dang thing you can do about it because, sorry, there's no covenants. That's what you wanted.
You have a hoarder next door and you have rats as big as cats, coming over the fence and saying good morning to you.
And at that point, the laws don't look so bad.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything always looks, the grass is always greener on the other side until you get over there and you realize it's all weeds. Ann M says, question, we made an offer for land in North Georgia. Congratulations. I used to live up there. Is it It is 45 acres of undeveloped farmland. The owner's holding out thinking with the value will increase like home prices. What do you think? Typically, dirt does not increase in value at the same rate or level as homes. Not even close. It's not even a comparable. Um two totally different things. I would say this is how I would address it. I would actually get with a real estate agent and have them put together a um, a cost market analysis of their land and have them show them actual history of what land has sold for in that specific area in the last, I don't know, I would do one for the last 6 months, the last 12 months, 24 months, and 48 months for them to see, like you think you're going to hold out. This is the highest prices have ever gone up, but you ain't going up as much as you think they are. So I would leave it at that. Debbie says the grass is always greener over the septic tank. The, Irma Bombeck, wasn't that the book? Irma Bombeck?
Boy, that's going way back.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm 50, man. I know some stuff. I'm an old lady. I know some stuff. Mike says, for Will, in places like Bozeman, what demographic is driving the home buying, and how much difference in lot home prices with the mountain views versus not having mountain views?
Well, the demographic would be Californians. And I hate to lump them all into that. It's all the bigger cities, like we were talking earlier. It's the people that want to get away. They can work remotely. They want to be in a cool little mountain town. Bozeman's trying to be like Austin. There's some tech companies that have moved in there. So you're just getting the people from bigger cities that have a bunch of money that have driven up the prices. Bozeman right now is the most expensive part of Montana. Bozeman and Big Sky, the ski resort that's just south of there. Prices are crazy. How much difference in lot and home prices? There is a difference. It's as they say, it's all location. So yeah, if you're sitting out on a little bit of land with a clear shot of the mountains, then yeah, your prices are going to be a lot higher. There's so many variables, Mike. I can't give you an exact difference, but yes, there is a difference. Just depending on where you are, just like with real estate anywhere, it's all about, where it is.
I will tell you that here in Louisiana, the funniest thing is that houses on water, of course, sell better. And I'm like, I'm not from Louisiana, and all I can think is alligators, freaking snapping turtles, snakes, like vermin. Like they have this thing called Nutri-Rats that are like floating around that look like beavers, but they're freaking gigantic, humongous bear-looking rats. And like, who wants to live on the water? And when I moved into that first neighborhood, they were like, well, if you want a lake lot, that's going to cost $10,000 more. I'm like, I want to be as far away from that pond as possible. Ew, no. And everybody always had the problems. They're like, we have so many mosquitoes over here. I'm like, the mosquitoes are as big as dragonflies, and the dragonflies are as big as eagles here. Like, I would not, there's no way I would live near the water, but it sells for more money here.
Well, our water up here, we don't have anything that can kill you. The things that can kill you here are out in the woods, the bears. So
everything kills you here.
Water is very in demand here. So
everything's poisonous. Everything can kill you. If it looks cute and fuzzy, it's probably the most deadly thing in the whole entire world. Get away from it. Run. It's like, when I first moved here, I was like, oh my God, look at that ant. It was this beautiful, fuzzy red ant. It looked like a piece of velvet. It was so pretty. And I trapped it. I trapped it in a little box and couldn't wait for Eddie to come home. And I heard this thing and it was angry. It was like, and I was like, it is so cool. And I pull it out. Like when Eddie gets home, he's like, man, that is a beautiful ant. I'm like, I know. We just kept looking at it and it was mad. And we let it go. It went away. And we asked the builders that were in the neighborhood. I'm like, we saw this they were like, that's all. That's not That's a hornet. That's a wasp. It doesn't fly. That's called a velvet ant. Sometimes they call them a cow killer. That thing stings you. You're not going to forget it. Oh, and he's going to pull it up. See, look how pretty that is. I was so excited. Everything kills you here. Anything beautiful and just, you just can't wait to pick it up and you want to snuggle it. Nope. You will die. just stay away. Lynn says this is a question for Will. Have you had any land buyers purchase zip kit homes out there? I know something about zip kit, but go ahead.
Tell me about them, because my answer is no. Everybody that's bought land from me personally has had a builder build their own place. So I have not had that, and I'm not familiar with that particular company or type of house.
They build fantastic homes. They're of modular construction. They're probably one of the nicest modern looking built homes that I've seen in modular construction. That's like you can get in the southern region, because most of them are closer to Canada. They build a fantastic product. From everybody that I've talked to that I know has had a zip kit at home, I've talked about them in a couple of videos previously. What I will tell you, Lynn, about zip kit right now, they are behind in production because of all the supply chain issues. I don't know if they've gotten caught up. The last time I talked to somebody from there, this was, I can't remember when it was. It was late, late last year, before the turn of the new year, and they were behind about 12 months. But they have fantastic homes. They're really well built, very well built homes.
Nice.
Yeah, and those panels are solid as a rock. That house isn't going anywhere. It isn't going anywhere. I would love to have a zip kit home. I would love to. They're fantastic.
What are the costs? Are they on that website?
Yeah. So modular construction used to be just fall a little shy of what traditional home construction would be. Now they're above traditional home construction. But I will say this: whenever you get a modular constructed home, it's going to be built to IBC code, International Building Code, which is a higher standard than when you're with your traditional building codes for a stick-built home. Those houses are going to have better insulation. They're going to have better energy efficiency, and I like a modular home. But as long as you're going to start seeing more panelized construction in real estate as time goes on, because it's such an easier, faster way to build a house. And if they can get houses done quicker and have a better product all the way around, that's going to help builders. It's just, builders are the hardest people, most stubborn people to adapt to anything new. And so, yeah. So what was that, Eddie? What do you, I can barely see it. It says, what does that say?
$99,500 for the 1-bedroom.
Yeah. $99,500 for a 1-bedroom little pod. I mean,
here's the problem. I guess maybe the reason I haven't seen many of these or any of these is in our area, there's a lot of land where you're not allowed to do a modular home.
But modular is not the same as a manufactured home. You realize that?
Well, right? I know, but they write it right into the covenants around here. They want a lot of the covenants are, well, it's got to be 1,500 foot or bigger, or 1,700 foot or bigger, whatever. But yeah, they don't, any of the prefab type houses, there's not a lot of places that allow that. So
that doesn't even make any sense.
I know. I don't make the
better
rules.
Standards. They're built to better standards than they are traditional built homes.
Hey,
it doesn't even make sense.
Again, I don't make the rules. I'm just telling you what
it's usually somebody that's like, back in my day, we just didn't do that. We're just not, like, they're so stubborn. They're so stuck in their way. We don't do too good of a change. We're just not going to do it. Change is not a good thing.
Well, I think a lot of it too is the perception. I mean, those look like great houses. I mean,
they're beautiful.
But you tell somebody, oh yeah, it's a prefab home. Well, automatically they're picturing, the single wide 1972 trailer that's rusted out.
Right, but that's not but that's not modular.
No, well, you
And
know what
I
I
that's why I
mean.
you need to send to my channel when they say that. Say, no, go watch our channel. There's a difference between a modular and a manufacturer.
I do know that. I'm just saying the perception's the same for all of them.
I know. Speaking of channels, let's pull up Will's channel, because if people need to get a hold of Will, because he's the let's go ahead and answer this question. Then we're going to pull up Will's channel. Ann M says, question, have we made an offer for land in North Georgia? I already answered that question, Eddie. Yeah, Eddie said, great. Sorry. Now Eddie's going to go ahead and pull that up. Eddie, go ahead and pull up Will's channel, because he's got some good stuff. He's got how many views you got to that viral video? It's got way over 1 million, right?
Yeah, I'm almost at 3.
Yeah, look at that.
Can you believe that?
Living in Montana. Is that your wife?
That is my wife.
Wow. How did you get her?
That's what everybody says.
Oh, wow. Well, there's a reason. she's a babe, man. She's a babe. Anyways, this is his channel. And if you want to know anything about living in Montana, Will has got all these videos here and some beautiful thumbnails there that you want to click on. Look, what is that? Does that last video say 54,000 or does it say 5,000? But you're going to be doing a live stream, what, today or no?
No, I do them every other week. So I had done it last week when you were on. And so I'll do
next week you can do it.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Next week, you can go ahead and visit Will and ask your specific questions about Montana. I want to say
please subscribe so I can try and catch people like Kristina that are running away with the subscriber counts.
Yeah, Eddie's circling the subscribe. I'm already subscribed to your channel.
I'm talking to all of your people. If half of your people subscribe, that would do me a lot of good.
Yeah, I mean, if there's 428 people right now on the live stream, if 428 people popped over to Will's channel right there, I'm sure that he would be a happy camper.
I would be very happy. I would appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you need a real estate referral from me, I'm connected with thousands of real estate agents throughout the country. Many of them have been on this show, as you know. Just go over to my website and you can scroll at the bottom and it says like connected time, or like it says book a time with me. Hit that button right there. Fill out the referral form. I will get in contact with you. If your phone number's left, I will give you a call and we'll talk about your real estate needs and what you're looking for in your next real estate agent. Everybody, I just want to say, I hope you have a fantastic week. Let's keep an eye on the mortgage rates, because I have a feeling it's gonna be another wild week, and we're gonna meet again here next Sunday talking about something else. Who knows what's in store for us this week in the real estate market? It's been crazy, and who knew that real estate would be so incredibly interesting? It used to be the most boring topic in the world, and now it's like the hot topic. Hot topic. So thank you, Mr. Will. I appreciate you, and I hope you'll be on here again.
I would be happy to anytime.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you, moderators, for keeping the chat clean. I appreciate you. You always do a fantastic job every single week. And I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Just go ahead and dance your way out, because life's too short. You gotta get a little happy, get a little groove on, and get yourself a big cup of tea. I need to put a link to my Amazon store and put these cups in there. I'll put that.
You need to put your logo on that cup.